So, in the NBA world, one player has continued to amaze me again and again this year. That being Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. While Portland has lost 7 of their last 10 games, my man is coming off a 70-point heater in 4 quarters, first the Houston Rockets, and last night in their 121-110 loss to the Pelicans. While Brandon Ingram cooked them up for 40 points, he gave them a 40 ball of his own. Damian Lillard is clearly a first-team All-NBA performer this season. It reminds us, I think, of Steph Curry back in 2021 when that Warriors team around him was not good, and he just put on an absolute carry job. The question is, can we appreciate what Dame is doing right now, given Portland at 29-33 is not even on track to make the play-in tournament?
You just gotta separate them, I think, because I remember a stat. Dame threw 17 passes for shots last night. Guess how many assists he ended with? At this point, it's like even though you can even say you have a quality player, Jeremy Grant. He was ass. I mean, Jeremy Grant ass. At this point, yes, I'm completely appreciative of what he's doing because he's literally the entire defense is honed in on him, and he's still dropping 40. Like it's not even a let game day his and we stop everybody else. Literally everybody else stops himself. Just stop Dame, and they can't do it. I appreciate what he's doing. He's not gonna leave Portland. In my eyes, it's better. It's more fun for me to see him drop 70 than see him go somewhere else with a superstar and quality 25, 30 a night. Like, doesn't hit this. Like, yes, I would love to see him win. I'd love to see Dame win, get one. But as of right now, knowing that he doesn't want to leave, it's just fun to see him put up these crazy scoring games.
Yeah, for me, I can differ between the two. I mean, I go back to that my infamous rant when John brought up Damian Lillard and I went off about do teams really love you in sports?
What do we play for?
Play to win championships. That's why you play in this league. You really think these teams are loyal? Go ask any professional athlete if these teams are really loyal. Go ask Dwayne Wade about Miami. And I'm a huge Dwayne Wade fan, and I love Miami. Go ask him what they did, how they disrespected him, and he had to spend a year in Chicago when he never should have did that. Go ask any player that these teams will throw you to the side, whether you like it or not, no matter what you did for them. They don't give a crap. Love your fans. But guess what? Fans will turn on you in an instant. The hardcores won't, but the majority of them will. So go ahead, Dame Lillard. Maybe they'll start giving trophies for playing winners. I don't want to talk about him anymore. Go on.
What was last summer, because it became clear the Trailblazers are not moving towards competing for a championship. They're kind of moving towards a rebuild stage. So I was like, Dame, what are we doing here? You've made your money. He's made an insane amount of money. I'm not faulting him for that. Get your bag, man. You know what I mean? But you get into sports, I always thought, is if you're a competitor, you get into sports to win. You want to win a championship. And it's clear they're not going to win there anymore. But I'll separate him. I'll separate them for right now. I'll give Dame his praise and his love. Damian Lillard is one of the greatest players I've ever witnessed since I've been alive and I've been watching basketball. The man is outstanding. I mean, it sucks because, and I was thinking about this last night, he's in an era of Steph Curry. And if Steph Curry wasn't around in this era, maybe Damian Lillard would probably be the guy we looked at as the point guard for like the 2010s and 2015 and on. But Steph really took that crown. Because Dame can do basically anything that Curry can do, just not as great. He can shoot from 30 and even and the logo. He can do everything that Curry does. And he can
honestly deep range. I'm not gonna lie, deep range plus 30. I'm gonna take Dame. I can't lie.
Take Dame? I mean, I don't think you would. I know some people would look at you and be like, "What are you talking about? Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all." And we all get that. Like, I would take Steph, but I understand where you're like, Damian's not a scrub out there. He's making those shots. Like, we all see
Steph
them.
normalized it, but Dame took it to the next level where he's just doing it literally like twice a game.
Yes, and Dame, people forget Dame had jump. I mean, he doesn't do it that much anymore, driving and dunking on people. But in his younger days, that man could, he was in a dunk contest. He wasn't job, yeah, but he could dunk on you. He could posterize you, nuts on forehead. But so we gonna appreciate 71 points this game. Is that the highest for this season, or was the
Ty Donovan.
Tied with Dimich.
tied with Don? Yeah, because I know Don somebody else scored 7, so it's phenomenal performances. They okay, good. Thank God they won that game, because sometimes when they
The Rockets.
I know
Without
sometimes,
Jalen Green and
sometimes
Kevin
when,
Porter Jr.
yeah, it's just bad, because I remember Devin Booker when he dropped his big 70 point, they lost, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, to be fair to
people
Devin
got-
Booker, real quick, he was literally at 50 points. They're down by 15, and there's like, all right, we're gonna keep hitting the ball. The Celtics kept scoring. That game was never competitive.
Yeah.
That,
It's just
the thing about that one, yeah, people try to compare them, but I'm just like, yeah, they were both bad teams. One of them won, and the other one, he shouldn't have gotten to 70. And the game was out of reach, and they should have subbed him out. Like Devin Booker shouldn't have been in that game, but they're just like, you know what? Let's see how far he can go.
Yeah. So I feel I gotta be honest. I know I went off on him last year, but I gotta be honest. I do feel somewhat bad for Dame, because I do think, to Romaine's point, like it would be so great to see him on a championship contending team, and to see what like the moments that we wish we could have saw Carmelo on the biggest stage, the finals, and see what, if anything, would, because we feel well, me personally, I feel Carmelo was built for that type of moment, and I would have just loved to seen a prime Melo on that stage. Dame, I feel, is
But
the
he
same way.
was in the conference finals against Kobe.
Yes, but he was still a baby at that point. I get what you're saying.
Wait.
24.
What year was it? Was that 09? That was 09, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, but that was
The
you were
08,
building up to
09 season.
LeBron and Kobe in the finals. I don't feel,
Yes.
yeah, I don't feel like that's fair to like give him a pat just because what was he, like 25 at the time, I think?
Yeah.
Or no,
Well,
Melo was
I
Melo was
give you
a little
that.
bit
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. But that, again, that was the only time we did see him on that stage. Like he didn't get to, like, I guess, for lack of a better word, revenge that performance, or put on a better showing in another.
Neither players play in
No,
the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we only got to see him there, and I just feel like Dame is the same way to me. Dame is built for those type of moments, and I would love to, because we did see Dame in the conference finals a couple of years ago, and they got freaking swept. They had a lead, I think, going into every fourth quarter of that game. They had the lead, and they lost. So I think we all agree, yes, we would love to see. But I wanted to ask you this, Romaine, because you brought up if he was with Joel. I don't think that in that pairing, I don't think Dame would be looked at as the number one. I think a lot of people would say that's Joel's team, and Joel would get more of the love and credit for those championships.
I think in that situation, with how much Dame has the ball in his hands already, I think he would have the ball in it'd be a 1A 1B type thing. Like with him, I think they'd both be close to averaging 30.
Yes.
Because with him and Harden's just so much better of a playmaker that he's in the point guard spot. But like it's just like the Harden's impact and Joel's impact at the same time is like almost the same for the Sixers. Not exactly the same. Joel's a little bit more, but it's not a 1-2 thing, it's more of a 1A 1B type thing. I just want him to be in a situation where somebody just close to his level, or at least either a little bit better than him or a little bit worse than him, but just somebody close to his level.
Yes.
Like CJ is a perennial all-star, nowhere close to that level. I'm sorry.
No. I mean,
closest he's had was like LaMarcus.
And that's the thing.
That was when he was a baby.
Dame hasn't played with an all-star since 2015, and the 1 year CJ McCollum played at that level, averaged 25 in the 2019 playoffs, they went to the conference finals. That was the 1 year Dame truly had that sidekick.
CJ didn't play well against OKC, so Dame was. I think Dame. The reason why you see Dame flame out outside of when the Pelicans just Drew Holiday and Rondo just put that boy in hell.
They did,
but outside of that, he has the same problem as James Harden, where the first round or earlier, like first games of a series, great, but he has the ball in his hands so much. He has so much responsibility on offense that he gets tired. It's the same thing happened with the Nuggets. 55. You lose the next game, you get blown, that you get destroyed because you don't have enough energy for that anymore. You really don't. And I think the further he gets in the playoffs, carrying a team by himself without like proper help, he just gets tired. When you look at him against Golden State that year, he didn't look the same, and it's not even because of Golden State's defense. He was getting open shots; they just weren't dropping. Sure. He literally looks like his legs weren't there anymore. Really? Like he just never had the consistent help. And when I look at this season, I see what the Suns traded for KD. I'm looking at Portland. I'm like, you have your pick this year. You have the Knicks pick this year. You have all your picks up until 2028, I think.
Yeah, well, their picks lottery
Anthony-
protected to the Bulls this season, I'm pretty sure. If not this year, next year. But you're right.
Oh,
Keep going, keep going.
But you have Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons. Which package would have been better for KD in your opinion? Well, I guess KD said he wanted to go
It's
to Phoenix, which is cool.
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I would
so-
take Shane Sharp any day before I'm taking Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if Portland was really serious about it, like, why don't you just throw that offer out real fast? Because I get KD wanted to go to Phoenix, but as Brooklyn situation, you have all the leverage. You want to, like, they put you through hell. You want to make sure you secure your future. I would have taken that package, and seeing KD and Dame together would have been amazing. Again, it's better than the Luka Kyrie situation, but I think you'd be in a similar situation with the defense. Actually, no, because you have Jeremy Grant there. Nah, Nurkic can't guard. Yeah, Nurkic and Eubanks can't guard a fish out of water, so it doesn't matter.
And to talk a little bit more about this stretch Dame has been on, Damian Lillard's last 21 games, he is averaging 39 points per game, 7 assists, to only 2.5 turnovers, while shooting 12 three-pointers a game, making 40% of them, and shooting 52% at the field. So this year for Dame, we've seen the burst come back after last year, but we've also seen his finishing improve. For mid-range, the guy's making 48% of his shots. And throughout the entire year, we've seen him carry what is a top 10 offense. The issue in Portland has been two-way versatility, right? You guys talked about it. Yusuf Nurkic is still a starting center in 2023. Are you serious? I mean, Drew Eubanks been starting the last couple of games. Last night he had 2 points in 17 minutes. Portland is very fortunate that Dame is so loyal because that gives them more time. And so they're playing their cards long term. So they're not going to sell all their assets for KD and really kill any of their depth that they do have left. I feel like this is a very big sleeper, like you guys talked about. We had discussed this before our show started to acquire Joel Embiid because if the 76ers underperform this year and that team blows up, that's the next superstar you would think might be on the market. But not with that. With that being said, it's pretty clear that Dame's going to stay in Portland his entire career. And I want to say, we can separate Dame being on a crappy team that just can't get over the hump defensively from what he is doing on the floor. Because this is some of the best basketball I've ever seen at the point guard position. I can enjoy this. And like you said, Romaine, I would kind of rather watch Dame drop 40 points in the stretch than have him, say, average 25 points as number 2 on a championship level team. Because there's still no guarantee on the other side you're going to get that title. For him, he's valuing where he is, for his family, where he's been his entire career, and being a mentor to these guys in Portland. That legacy will carry a lot more weight than jumping to a new team. In a superstar-driven era where player movement has reached such a high pinnacle, a player like Dame not wanting to jump ship is looked at as you want to lose games. But in reality, he is so loyal to the places that have given him a shot. Oakland, Ogden, and now Oregon, Leo, that's a part of his DNA. So I have to respect the man. That legacy is going to carry a lot of weight, especially when looking at every other superstar in NBA history. Every superstar. Kobe, Duncan, Garnett, he eventually requested a trade, Dirk, etc., etc. All those guys I've seen in one place got a championship. With Dame, he's the only player that at 32 years old, it still does not look like that's on the horizon. And unlike Kevin Garnett, I don't expect him to be traded to a big three in his age 32 season.
Yeah.
Okay. If Dame, I'm not even gonna say it wouldn't win to Portland. Let's say Dame wins it. Let's say hypothetically, miracle happens. Portland's like, okay, you know what? We just gotta call it quits. Let's say you move Dame. If he wins a championship as a number 2, where does he rank all time on point guards? Because you got Magic, Steph, and Isaiah got 3 rings. You got CP3 that doesn't have any rings, but every single advanced stat, the eye test.
Isaiah got 2 rings.
The only reason he doesn't have one is because of injuries. The only reason he doesn't have one is because of injuries. So where would you really? I feel like a championship with the level that he's playing at would like catapult him into like 3-4 all time. 3-4 all time.
He wouldn't be ahead of Chris Paul for me.
Yeah.
And this may sound like an old head take, but I still wouldn't quite have him ahead of Jerry West. But Dame would be a top 10 point guard without a doubt.
Really? You count Jerry West as a point guard or a shooting guard? Because I
got
got
a
him as a
point
shooting guard.
But that's neither here nor there. Top point guards of all time. We have Magic, Steph, CP,
Isaiah.
Jerry West, after those 5.
Stockton's got to be in there, but
get
I think if Lillard
No, he
wins a
doesn't. He doesn't have
championship,
to be.
I'd put him over Stockton if he won a championship.
Stockton doesn't
question
have
is,
to be in there.
does he
Jason
jump
Kidd.
over Jason Kidd, who led teams to the final
Yes.
back-to-back years
Yes.
in a super weak Eastern Conference, by the way? Does he jump over Steve Nash, who has 2 MVPs? And does he jump over John Stockton, who has the steal and assist record? I
Yes.
think the answer for all 3 of those players is yes. He would jump ahead of them. He's been an All-NBA performer now for 7-8 years. He's been an All-Star perennially. And I think with him being Mr. Blazer by the end of this, right, I think he will go down as that. He's also going to have an even better case, too.
Also, he'd be, in Romaine's case, he'd be a number 2 on a championship team, which Jason Kidd was really not. He was kind of just an old veteran,
Yes.
making great plays. Steve Nash obviously never won one. He won those 2 MVPs, but I think we all kind of look at those MVPs and don't really
I look at one MVP. I look at one MVP like he should have won it. The first one, definitely, he deserved that shit 1,000. I don't care what anybody says. He deserved that shit 1,000%.
Was that the one where they thought Shaq should have won it or Kobe should have won it?
06 was the one Kobe should have won, I think.
All right.
06,
and then
yeah,
the other
06.
one was I think Shaq. A lot of people thought Shaq should have won it.
Yeah, I think that was his first year on the Heat. I don't think so. Steve Nash is averaging 19 and 12, the best offense in the league. I don't care. That's his award.
That's fair. That's fair.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would take Lillard if he won a chance. I think 100%. He's no doubt top 10 point guard of all time, and he moves up above those guys. I would have to look at my list. I know me, John, and Justin ranked him last year. I forgot what it exactly was, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Isaiah Thomas. Obviously not Magic and Steph, and I wouldn't put him above CP3. I just hold CP3 in
Right
such
now
high
with that,
regard.
right now with him without a ring, I don't even know if
He's top 10.
I feel like it's very disrespectful. I want to put him over Russ, but I feel like it's very disrespectful when you look at the totality of Russ's career and how good
really
in his prime Russ
disrespectful?
really was.
I would take.
Come on, man. I get it. Russ sucks, and when you look at back, we talk about the inefficiencies in that. But come on, bro.
Who's a higher
Listen,
ceiling raiser?
as a big Russ.
2017, that OKC team. Who had a worse supporting cast? Dame now or that OKC team? Let's be real. Because Jeremy Grant is better now, and he was on that team with Russ, and he was the second best player on
that OKC team was a top 10 defense, right? When Dame had that, he's gone in the conference finals. And here's my thing. Russell Westbrook has a much better resume because he has that MVP season, which was historical.
But he's also played with Kevin Durant.
Russ has gotten the opportunity to play with the 2 greatest players of his era. LaMarcus Aldridge is not a top 20 player from his era. That's not a shot.
2 greatest players of his era.
Just let him have it.
Steph is part of that era. Let's
okay, so 2 of the 3 greatest.
Yeah, I know. He meant something else, Romaine. I know. You look
2 of the 2 best players because Kevin Durant's a better player than Steph in the last decade. Yes.
Just let him have it. Just let him have it.
Let me have it. It's true. And Dame has not had that opportunity. Anywhere near.
But I agree. Yeah,
TJ McCall wasn't a top 30 player.
No, but again, like I said, it sucks because Dame was in it. It's kind of like how many. It's not the same, but how many people didn't win championships because of MJ? Dame is in this era with Steph, and we all look at Steph, we marvel over Steph, but we also remember it was Dame and CJ, right? But they weren't the number 1 duo because it was always about the Splash Bros. Mm-hmm. It always seemed like
they weren't even the number 2 duo. They weren't even number 2 duo.
True.
You got Russ and KD, James Harden, CP3.
True. More CP and James because I'm talking point guard, shooting guard combo. But I get what you're saying. But it always seems like Dame was always like that old saying, "Never the bride, always the bridesmaid." It always just seemed like he was number 2 or number 3, like Romaine said. And it's that's how it is sometimes, But he's still never had that phenomenal. We all love Dame Lillard.
Mm-hmm. He's never had that 2017 Westbrook year. It was like we know Steph is better, but what this man's doing right now is absolutely insane. So you gotta respect it. Yeah, it's really insane. He's never had that one year where he's just like, look, I get it skill wise, and if you want to win a championship, you probably take the other guy. But right now, what he's doing, it's hard to say that anybody's better at that position than he hasn't had that year yet, and it's just he has this. I think when you look back in his career and you look at when he gets deeper in the playoffs, the fall off, people are gonna look at it a little different, and you're gonna hear people say certain things without context. It's the same way with James, where I look back at his career a little bit more now and just like, you had Golden State in front of you, man, and say what you want about the Houston Rockets team. He was the engine, like he was the engine, and expecting somebody to be that clear cut engine for like so many, for like multiple 7-game series at a time, it's just unrealistic unless you're like freaking LeBron.
No, no.
So it's just, when you look at the totality of his career, you realize the nasty narrative is going to come up a little bit later for him whenever he retires. But just in the moment right now, you just realize just how insanely good it is. And it just sucks that you just constantly seeing L's and L's. Like 40 points last night against the Pelicans without Zion.
This really does. The more you speak about it, the more I just think of Carmelo Anthony, like how I think Dame is going to be looked at as Carmelo, like you said, when he retires years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20. People are going to look at him kind of like Carmelo.
Melo did that to his own team.
I was looking at Carmelo as a fraud in 2011, and I was 10 at the time. So.
To each his own. I think, I have a lot more respect for Carmelo Anthony.
I do. I think Melo, in a sense, there's very, very few players in NBA history that can be the champion, the main scorer in a championship team. Because you look at like Zach LaVine, that was averaging 27 and 50, 40, 90 a couple years ago. Like, he's averaged more points than Carmelo has ever in his career. But you would never look at Zach LaVine as he can be the offensive hub of a championship team. Carmelo in Denver, and if those early Knicks years, even if the Heat weren't there, you could look at Carmelo and be like, you could be a championship. You could be the number one on a championship team.
That's why I do compare this. I just think that people are going to underrate and underappreciate Damian Lillard, kind of like how Carmelo is right now. I just hope that the end of Dame's career doesn't end up like the end of Carmelo's career.
I don't think it will, because Dame's skill set as a shooter, he can be a spot-up shooter for the rest of his career. Yeah, he can be. He's too good at every single form of 3-point shooting. Like, you have guys that are, either they're great spot up or they're great off the dribble. No, Dame spot up, coming off screens, pull up from deep. Every single form of shooting the man is like A+ at. So I feel like later in his career, even when he loses the athleticism, he, as a spot up shooter, he can play probably to his 40.